Misinterpretation? Yeah, okay.
Pretty cut and dry. Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay.
Take it up with Randy.
Cause
That's right.
he didn't feel it was a business. Send what around? She was going to make it a home occupation, then she said no. She took it back, so it did not get circulated to anybody. Do you wanna see it, or? Okay. I don't know, I thought he was gonna be here.
Good.
Hmm? Jamie, yeah, I don't know. He didn't say he wasn't gonna be here. There he is. No, he's.
Lots of time, lots of time.
Yeah, he's got 2 minutes.
Jamie is in the building.
Oh, God, I'm tired. I can't wait to set those clocks back, man. I wanna fall.
I almost did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By doing that.
Some people.
Okay, batteries are dead. Seriously?
We can get you in. Do we have them all out? Your battery's dead?
Yeah, this one's dead. So we'll put it here, so we replace it.
Well, for now.
We probably could use that, because if they wanted to just stop over there and when the, during the. Is that one up? As long as we don't have to share like last time.
That's what you're gonna have to do. Go to the works again. It's a share a mic.
You just needed to talk in a higher voice for it to activate. So we prefer to have them come up to talk up there when they have something.
Right there?
Yeah.
That I what?
Okay, good evening, how are you? Hey, 7 o'clock, and we'll call the October meeting of the planning board to order. And may I have a roll call?
Mr. Carnegie?
Here.
Mrs. Masternardi?
Here.
Mr. Zenner?
Here.
Mr. Eldridge?
Here.
Mr. Donnelly?
Here. Okay, we don't have any advisory opinions today, and so we'll move on to new business. Amanda Blair, special permit for chickens. Alex?
Okay, the referenced application is for a special permit to house 6 hens, no roosters, on the referenced parcel within a residential zone. It's at 155 Castle Creek Road. They gave a planning board application with permissions, a letter from the applicant, and a short environmental assessment form. 239 review was required within 500 feet of a state road. Comments were received and they didn't have any actions. Stay out of the right-of-way type of comments. There's no New York State agricultural zone within 500 feet. Project is within a 73-56 Zone 2 aquifer recharge area of the towns and is in compliance and shall continue to be so. Seeker, Nate will cover seeker. My comments were Part 1, 3A. They could answer that one as the total acreage of the parcel of 0.8 acres for the parcel area. 1.3B is any disturbed area. It appears to be 0. They're just adding chickens to their building. Surrounding land uses could have also checked boxes for forest, aquatic being the stream behind them, a junkyard, and a church. I just indicated coordinate with building department to confirm if the coop requires a building permit. That's if they are approved. I don't have any engineering objections.
Thank you. Is the applicant here? Maybe, would you like to come up front and then we can, okay, I guess first question is, did you have anything additional that you wanted to offer for us? Right
No.
No? No, just, okay, does anyone have some questions or
I have no
regarding this?
questions.
Okay, so how about yeah, we need to open the public hearing. Can I have a motion for that?
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
I'll second.
May I have a vote?
Mr. Carnegie?
Aye.
Mrs. Mastronardi?
Miss.
Miss?
Aye.
Mr. Zenner?
Aye.
Mr. Eldridge?
Aye.
Mr. Donnelly?
Aye. Okay, so the public hearing is open. The way that works is you, anyone that would like to make a comment in regard to this issue, what you do is you raise your hand so we can have you come up front and speak into the microphone because we need to record everything. And basically it's 5 minutes time frame. And that's about all the rules. So is there anyone that would like to make any comments on this issue? Okay, no one's making any comments, so we'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
May we have a vote?
Mr. Carnegie?
Aye.
Miss Mastronardi?
Aye.
Mr. Zenner?
Aye.
Mr. Eldridge?
Aye.
Mr. Donnelly?
Aye. Okay. So moving ahead, we'll be doing a okay, go ahead with the seeker.
So everyone's, the board has access to the Part 1 form that was filled out by the applicant. You can note the comments Alex had regarding that. If anyone has any questions or concerns about that information, flag them now. Otherwise, we'll proceed to Part 2.
Proceed.
Okay, moving on to Part 2. This is the short environmental assessment form. There's 11 questions that need to be answered. If the board would just indicate their responses to each of those questions. First, would the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulations? Would that be a no, small impact, or a moderate to large?
No.
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 Okay. Will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of use of land?
No.
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 Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community?
No.
No.
Fourth question concerns a critical environmental area There are none within the town, and so the answer to this one would just be no.
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 The fifth one is, would the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkways?
No.
No.
Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities?
No.
Will the proposed action impact existing public-private water supplies or wastewater treatment utilities?
No.
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 Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources?
No.
Will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources?
No.
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 Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems?
No.
No.
And then finally, will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health?
No.
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 And so hearing the board respond no to each of those 11 questions, it's appropriate to move on to part 3, which is the determination of environmental significance. Given your responses in part 2, it would be appropriate for a motion to make a negative declaration concerning this action.
I'll make a motion for a negative declaration.
I'll second.
May we have a vote?
Mr. Carnegie,
Aye.
Ms. Masternardi,
Aye.
Mr. Zenner,
Aye.
Mr. Eldridge,
Aye.
Mr. Donnelly.
Aye. So we can
Proceed with the special use permit review. Seeker's completed, so you can review the special permit criteria and make a motion to approve or deny with, approve with conditions, approve no conditions, or deny it.
Okay, so for the special permit, do we want to include any additional restrictions, such as no roosters
No roosters.
and the number of chickens?
6 chickens.
6? Is there anything else we need to include, or?
Nope, I'll make a motion to approve the special permit with those conditions.
I'll second.
Okay, Diane, we have a motion. Can you vote?
Mr. Carnegie,
Aye.
Ms. Masternardi,
Aye.
Mr. Zenner,
Aye.
Mr. Eldridge,
Aye.
Mr. Donnelly.
Aye. So, you're approved with the conditions of having no roosters and 6 chickens?
Thank you.
Okay. Next on the agenda is Corey Staub, special permit for 4 dogs in a residential zone. Mr. Erda?
All right, this is an application for a special permit to have 4 dogs in a residential zone. It's at 38 Green Meadow Lane. They have 4 dogs, I believe code allows 3. They gave a planning board application with permissions, a letter from applicant including neighborhood sketch and some dog information. They gave a short EAF. 239 review was required within 500 feet of a New York State Ag District to the southeast at 1231 River Road. 239 comments were received with no action items or concerns. There was not an Ag data statement. Nate, does a special permit require an Ag data statement? Normally a special use permit does, but this is different.
The town code, I know I've had a conversation with one of the town councilmen about this. The special permit uses under the town code, in my opinion, are special use permitted. Like, so this would require, I think, an agricultural data statement, just like any of the other listed special permitted uses in the town code.
Okay. All right, next, the project is within our Zone 2 aquifer recharge area and is in compliance and shall continue to be. Seeker, same as the last one. I have some engineering comments. Part 1, number 6. Is it consistent with neighborhood area? They had answered no. I think perhaps it should be yes based on their info provided. Everyone in their neighborhood has a dog. Part 1-12B, archaeosensitive. It is yes based on the state's website, but there are no site impacts for the project. I don't have any engineering objections.
Thank you. Is the applicant here? Okay, did you have anything additional that you wanted to add to us for anything? Does someone have some, and he's saying no.
Do you already have 4 dogs?
Yes, we do.
Did someone turn you in?
It came up via licensing or?
Yeah, via licensing.
We got licensing, yes.
I had, was not aware that you had dogs.
And that's why you're here.
Yep.
Okay, did anyone have other questions or anything?
No, I like the pictures of the dogs.
Oh, thank you. There are babies.
So I actually just have a follow-up question to Alex. Alex, is this within 500 feet of an active farm operation? Because that's what triggers the requirement for the agricultural data statement.
The piece that they're next to is Gary Solomon and Marie A. Solomon's residence. It just happens to be in the ag district.
Yeah, being in the ag district doesn't trigger it. It's an active farm operation.
Within,
Not that I'm aware of at that property.
I would say no.
Okay, so then the ag data statement's not needed in this case.
I believe any farm stuff is on the other side of the road, not there. So
no.
I would agree.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so can I get a motion to open the public hearing?
I'll motion to open the public hearing.
I'll second.
May I have a vote?
Mr. Carnegie?
Aye.
Ms. Masternardi?
Aye.
Mr. Zenner?
Aye.
Mr. Eldridge?
Aye.
Mr. Donnelly?
Aye. Okay, so the public hearing is now open, same rules as previously. Does anyone has any comments or that would like to make in this application? Okay, no one wants to make any comments.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second.
May I have a vote?
Mr. Carnegie?
Aye.
Ms. Masternardi?
Aye.
Mr. Zenner?
Aye.
Mr. Eldridge?
Aye.
Mr. Donnelly?
Aye. Okay, we'll go ahead with the environmental assessment.
The board has part 1 of the short environmental assessment form. In reviewing that, do any of you have any questions that you'd like to follow up with the applicant or Alex about? No. Seeing a bunch of no's, we can move on to part 2. It's again the short environmental assessment form with the 11 questions. I will exhaustively read through them, and I hope that you all answer promptly. First, will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulations?
No.
No.
Will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of use of land?
No.
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 Will the action impair the character or quality of the existing community?
No.
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 Fourth is regarding critical environmental areas, of which there are none in the town, so the answer for this would be no. The fifth is, will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkways?
No.
Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy, and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities?
No.
No.
Will the proposed action impact existing water or wastewater supplies and treatment?
No.
No.
Will the action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources?
No.
No.
Will it result in an adverse change to natural resources?
No.
No.
Will it result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage?
No.
Will the action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health?
No.
No.
And hearing the board answer no to each of those 11 questions, it's appropriate to move on to part 3. And given the answers in part 2, a motion to make a negative declaration for the project would be appropriate at this time.
I'll make a motion for a negative declaration for the project.
I'll second.
You may have a vote.
Mr. Carnegie?
Aye.
Ms. Masternardi?
Aye.
Mr. Zenner?
Aye.
Mr. Eldridge?
Aye.
Mr. Donnelly?
Aye.
You can proceed with your review of the special use permit.
So, anyone have any other comments or like that? One thing with the special permit, one condition, and I don't know if it's part of the condition, or it would be that, if by chance one of your dogs should pass away, unfortunately, cannot be replaced. So you go back to just having the 3 dogs. Is there any other conditions anyone wants to add for any reason? No. We have a motion for approval for the special permit?
I just have a question on what you said there. Does the same thing apply? The lady has 6 chickens. If one dies, she can only have 5? I didn't realize that was a thing, that if they have, thought the special permit, if they have a permit for 4 dogs, they could have 4 dogs until the permit was revoked or they left. Am I incorrect?
I think that's what we've done in the past, how we did it that way, yeah. So it went down to 3, and then they got another dog, it was still, they still had that
I
permit.
don't know how have we done that. Because we didn't say that with the lady with the chickens.
Nate?
I don't recall what you've done in the past. I guess the distinction you might make is dogs typically live longer than chickens, I think.
That's true, yeah. It's just a question, I don't know.
Yeah. You guys.
I believe it's always been in the past.
Okay.
Yeah, for one.
Okay,
They have a
Yeah, if one passed away.
special
you had to
permit
move
for
them.
having 4 now.
Okay.
Okay.
And it goes back to 3,
I'm
Okay.
fine with that.
That's fine.
but they're okay with that, so.
We just want to leave.
That's fine.
Okay.
Motion,
I'll make a motion to approve the special permit with the conditions.
I'll second.
may we have a vote?
Mr. Carnegie?
Aye.
Ms. Masternardi?
Aye.
Mr. Zenner?
Aye.
Mr. Eldridge?
Aye.
Mr. Donnelly?
Aye. So you're all set. You can have
Thank you.
4 dogs as long
Thank you
as
so
they're.
much.
Enjoy your fur babies.
Question. Is a solar farm an active agricultural farm? No. Farm, I know.
Moving on, we have old business. Wood, it's a special permit, application for wildlife, small animal and birds rehab on the property. The animals do not stay for longer than 5 days. Mr. Erder, do you have something additional to add to this?
I only had one discussion. There was one public entity that asked me questions about accessory uses, and I conveyed that to Nate for any legal consideration on accessory and how that might impact the application. Other than that, I don't have a change to my letter from before.
Okay. At our last meeting, we did request a clarification from the code officer, and he's given that to us. It's been in the minutes. I think everybody has a copy of that. Does anyone have any questions on that as far as what it's basically saying is that it is a use it says my determination, the applicant is not conducting a use that could be determined a home occupation. Animal husbandry could be allowed in either the principal or the accessory structure.
And from speaking with Randy, he's determined that this is an allowed accessory use as animal harboring.
Okay, and the applicant is here? Maybe you want to come up front, I don't know if you have.
Hello again.
Oh,
So you have my application, and we went through this last time, and I gave you all my qualifications. It's on the transcript. I just wanted to remind everyone that I am very strongly regulated, monitored, and inspected by both the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation and the United States Department of Fish and Wildlife. in all aspects of my work, both in the facility and in my outreach education programs. I work with small mammals, not large, no rabies vector species. Why here, the only thing that I did not address at the last meeting, I don't know if it's pertinent or not, but I just wanted to bring it to the attention. Why here? Why in a residential community? Well, there are other wildlife rehabbers in residential areas in Broome County and in our sister townships. That's because this is where we're needed. The people and the wildlife that we work with are here. The wildlife are the squirrels, the bunnies, the groundhogs. They're in our backyards, they're in our school playgrounds, and they're on our roadsides. The examples of what I do every day are a teacher from Shenango Forks stopped after school. She had a tiny turtle that one of her students brought in his pocket from the playground, and she didn't know what to do with, so she dropped it off at my house. I got a call from the elementary school to go down on Grandparent Day because there was an abandoned fawn in the courtyard where they were hosting Grandparent Day. The rabbit, someone at the last hearing had a laptop and they had pictures of me on social media holding a rabbit, and that's a good example. That rabbit was injured in a neighbor's fence on our street, so they brought it over to me to heal and release. A woman and her daughter in the next street over on Patch Road brought an abandoned red squirrel that they found. She said it was barely alive. They wrapped it up in a towel and they just ran it over to my house. She apologized for not calling first because she knew what I do and that I'm always there. A neighbor at the end of the street called over on Asbury. Their dog came in with a baby bunny in its mouth and they didn't know what to do. Another neighbor from a few streets over brought a box of baby bunnies to my house and left it on my doorstep because their dog had dug up the nest and she didn't know what to do. So that's why we need this here in residential areas, because this is where the people and the wildlife conflicts exist, in our backyards, and that's where I'm needed the most. Also, the education portion that I volunteer, I push into schools and I do environmental education programs in the public schools. That's important in our community also. Things like right now, there's misinformation going around our community concerning possibility of people contacting viruses from wildlife. The word rabies is being thrown around with a lot of misinformation. So to help my community, I've now teamed up with the local libraries, Town of Fenton Library and Broome County Library, and I'm pushing in there to do the same environmental education programs as I do in the schools. One of the topics that we're looking to add is an informational seminar for the adults in the community concerning this. One could be around rabies, separating the myths from the gossip, from the facts, and how to stay safe. Others will be, a man called me, has a concern about a neighbor in Hillcrest feeding feral cats and what that does for his area. So we can research that, and I can present alternatives and facts and information on that kind of topic. So these forums will be, these informational seminars and forums will be advertised at the libraries as well. And in the meantime, anybody in our community that has any questions or concerns for any reason is always welcome to contact me. They can always call me, stop by my house. I have a variety of accredited sources to share on all these topics, as well as the Public Health Department has a lot of information that's easy to find and easy to understand. Because again, in the entire country, there has never, ever been a reported case, anything documented, of a human contracting the rabies virus from a squirrel, a rabbit, a chipmunk, a groundhog, or even a deer. Birds, possums, reptiles, and amphibians cannot contract this virus at all. So that's just part of what I do, and I'm looking to expand what I do for my community. And it's important to do it right here in my community where the need is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone on the board have any particular questions they want to ask right now, or we could open the public hearing? Okay, so
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
I'll second.
okay, can we have a vote?
Should I stay here or go back and sit down?
You can stay.
Okay.
We'll go.
Mr. Carnegie?
Aye.
Ms. Masternardi?
Aye.
Mr. Zenner?
Aye.
Mr. Eldridge?
Aye.
Mr. Donnelly?
Aye. Okay, same rules as it was before. One additional rule that I didn't mention was this isn't a question-answer period. This is an opportunity to state what you want to say. And so so it is not a discussion, it's just a comment period. Ma'am, what you need to do is just come up to the microphone so we can hear you and get it recorded. Also, speak your name and your address.
My name is Faith Patrick, and I live at 22 Hoffman Drive in Binghamton, and I live 2 houses down from Danielle. I commend her for what she is doing. However, where she is doing it is very questionable. The petitions that she has up are of old wood from fencing that we had in our yard that's 20 years old. So my concerns are about these animals being able to get out of the structures that she has back there. She also has had on her website for her rehab pictures of fox that she had over there. She had information about the fact that she did have to undergo treatment for rabies. She was not contracted with rabies, but she was exposed to it. She is taking these animals in. These animals also have other kind of diseases that can be spread very easily to humans. So my question is, and my concern is, how is she going to positively not let any of those animals get out into other people's yards that are very close together and possibly harm small children, adults, or other pets that people have in their yards? It has happened before where she had had other animals. This is a residential neighborhood. Her backyard is not that large. She has all sorts of structures back there that she is caging these animals in. And I am very concerned when it comes to being able to say that they are not going to escape, because they have before. And we've had them in our yard. We've tried to trap them as far as with have-a-hearts. And unfortunately, a couple of the rabbits that were domesticated rabbits got under our shed where there was another hatch of wild rabbits and were killed underneath. Well, we heard the screaming going on. So I do have a concern. I know she's following the regulations. I know she has all sorts of education. The responsibility of keeping them safe and keeping others in that neighborhood safe, and especially young children that are up and coming in this neighborhood, that is my biggest concern. DEC says that she is not supposed to be doing anything as far as with rabies vector animals, but yet she's had them on her premises already. So yes, I do have concerns with it. What she's doing is great, but she needs to find someplace else to go and do it, whether she works for Cooperative Extension or someplace else. But having this in her backyard is just not safe, period. Many people are up in arms. They can say, well, they're all supporting her from all around. They're not living on that street. The street and the majority of the people on that street do not want this. That's it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Diane Jensen, 17 Hoffman Drive. I I think what Danielle is doing is also an honorable thing. I agree with, her care, her, her passion for wildlife and for the, rehabilitation. But I agree, with the past speaker in that I don't think it's the location. Several things to note. She has been acting on the special permit but it hasn't been approved. So that's a big question in my mind when someone is not taking the responsibility to make sure that they have proper approval before they're actually acting on it. And I think that's, to my knowledge, it's illegal. The consequences of acting on that permit includes fines, forced demolition, denial of a permit, and potential legal issues. And there have been no consequences levied at all. So I'm thinking that there's been not the concern that probably should be awarded to this issue if the town hasn't questioned what has been going on. Danielle was exposed to rabies during a fawn rehab, and she underwent the rabies regimen. If the rehabber, Danielle, fell victim to a rabies regimen, what assures neighborhood children, pets, and rehab wildlife that are on her premises are safe? If the rehab negligence does occur, that would not happen, is bodily injury, to bodily injury of children, adults, or pets, what professional liability insurance is required? A secure structure that has been offered in documented information that she has provided, a rabbit escaped. So it's not secure if the animals have escaped. One of the documented information that was offered is the intent to pursue a permit next year to include rabies vector species, skunks, and raccoons, and bats. Also is documented, there's a 10 by 12 addition to her facility that she's trying to build. That's in quotes. A 10 by 12 addition to my facility is what I'm trying to build. There are 2 accessory units structured, accessory structures limit on a residential property. What I've seen, but this has not been offered because I guess the enforcement has just not done what they need, their due diligence. But it's, I saw that there are 3 in the back, 3 shed-like unit type things, a pool, and then there's another shed on the side of her home. I asked the question to Mr. Erda regarding the structures and whether they're permitted or not, but I hadn't gotten information. I did put in a FOIL request and nothing was provided yet. So I don't know, but I'm thinking, first of all, there can't, with that many units, they can't all be, they can't be approved because there are too many units on the property. On Saturday, October 4, just this past October 4th, there was an open burning event at 18 Hoffman Drive, documented by the Broome County Sheriff's Office. It's illegal. I believe that the presence of the rehabilitation, as it stands with the quality of care that has been going on, will negatively affect property values. Wildlife rehabilitation will attract wildlife, coyotes, red fox, fishers, black bears. When purchasing a family residence a primary concern is quality neighborhood environment, safety, quality schools, and knowing that if you purchase a home in the town of Shenango zoned residential, the town will protect and provide for your health, safety, and welfare. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else care to speak? Sir?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. My name is Bruce Van Tassel. I live at 10 Hoffman Drive, where I've lived for over the last 25 years, which is zoned residential. I am here to speak about the special use permit application number 2025-06. I have some observations since the applicant has been and continues to operate a wildlife rehab program without a special use permit required by town code. My first observation, based on the application, the applicant has a Class 1 wildlife rehabilitator license issued by New York State DEC. This license does not supersede town code. The applicant has been and is operating a wild animal rehab facility in violation of Town Code Part 2, Chapter 32, Article 2, by harboring animals. Pursuant to the code, animals may be harbored in agricultural zone areas of the town. Number 2, the special use application was received by the town on August 4th, 2025. On the All Creatures Great and Small Wildlife Rehabilitation public Facebook, numerous posts exist where the applicant has harbored animals since the application date. My concern here is that the applicant has been operating the rehab facility outside the town code, and even after becoming aware of the town code and after filing for a special use permit, the applicant continues to operate the wildlife rehab in violation of town code. If the applicant is unable to adhere to town code during the special use permit process, what can neighbors expect about the applicant's compliance moving forward? My third observation dovetails with number 2. I would have expected some town official, including someone from this board, to direct the applicant to cease and desist operation until the application goes through the entire special use permit process. The board has the opportunity to do that tonight and should do so. If the board doesn't, you're setting a precedent that town residents don't need to follow the process to obtain special permits, variance, or building permits prior to some affirmative act by a resident. Number 4, regarding the aforementioned public Facebook posting, the applicant has harbored hawks and other raptors. They are not approved animals within the New York State DEC Class 1 General Wildlife Rehabilitation License, as indicated on the DEC website. In this instance, the applicant appears to be operating outside the rules of her DEC license. Number 5, the applicant includes letters of community support in her application. None of them are direct neighbors. Any neighbor who asks questions or raises concerns to the town code office should not be vilified because the applicant has and is in fact harboring animals in violation of Part 2, Chapter 32, Article 2 of the town code. I've made these observations and raised these concerns because I believe there's incongruencies in the letter of intent and what is actually happening. By advancing the application to the Zoning Board of Appeals at this point, the board would be rewarding noncompliance, which is a bad precedent for the board to establish. I note I have always had cordial neighborly interactions with Danielle Wood and hope that that continues. I also note that she acknowledges available relief in her application to her self-imposed hardship by transferring her license to Oswego County or moving out of the area. Another option would be for one of her supporters who lives in a zoned agricultural area, which is not subject to harboring animal code, place a rehab shed on their property for the rehab facility. For the aforementioned reasons, I strongly encourage the board not to advance the application to the Zoning Board of Appeals, which is the granting authority under the code. However, if the board advances the application to the Zoning Board of Appeals, I would request that the board apply the following restrictions or conditions. Unfortunately, due to time restrictions, my wife may need to read those because how much time do I have?
25 seconds.
And I will have my wife read those restrictions. Thank you for your time and consideration.
My
My name is Melissa Van Tassel, and as my husband has laid out in great detail his observations on the application, I have the conditions that would be requested if the planning board considers the special permit to be forwarded to the zoning board of appeals for approval, that there are conditions on it that would also protect the neighborhood. Number one, limit the number of animals that can be harbored at any one time to 5 total. 2, restrict the applicant from having any RVS animals on the property, even if and when she obtains her RVS authority. 3, restrict the applicant from rehabilitating large mammals on her property, even if the applicant eventually meets the criteria and obtains the certification or authorization. 4, ensure that the applicant has the proper homeowner and or corporate insurance, and prove the insurance provider is aware that the wildlife rehabilitation operation exists on a homeowner property and require the annual submission of this information. Number 5, to submit the results to the town of unannounced inspections by the New York State DEC and require the town ordinance administrator to conduct a random inspection of this property. Number 6, require the applicant submit to the town the copy of the same annual reports that are required of her licensed wildlife rehabilitator to be submitted to New York State DEC. But that ends the conditions. I would also like to add a few of my own comments. As Bruce has stated, we have lived in this town and neighborhood for more than 25 years. We like our neighbors, we like our school, we like our town, why we live there. We are not against pets or wildlife or people. We just want it to be thought through that this is a residential neighborhood. I'm honestly annoyed that this issue has gone, in the meetings that have gone on, that it has grown to become a for or an against the saving of animals. This is not a moral issue. Is it a residential neighborhood code which already exists? It is not for neighbors to get over it, as some speakers have suggested. It is for the town to adhere and enforce the current codes before a special use permit is granted. And the special permit is not approving her passion of work that she's doing in her retirement. It is for the special permit in a residential area as opposed to an agricultural area. It is very black and white to me that has been presented that if you are against her having this at her house, it is morally wrong position, and it is not. We can love animals and we can want them to be saved and protected and not want to rehab on our street at her home. Our 3 streets of Hoffman Drive, Davis, and Patch are connected lots. What I mean by this is Danielle doesn't just have a neighbor on each side of her, she also has 3 properties behind her which intersect, and also across the street properties are almost as close as the ones in the back. It is a very close grid. The special permit is not for her to rehab the animals. She has clearly dedicated herself to training and gathering certificates and licenses, and it seems to continue to increase over time to more classes of license through DEC. For this permit, this is a self-imposed hardship. It is not required that it is done at her home. Living on Hoffman Drive and finding a place for an appropriate and probably bigger, most likely if she continues to expand, shed would solve the code problems. The community would still be served by her services. A note from the last meeting, which I saw on video, a person spoke on behalf of continuing the important work she is doing, noted that the solar farm will displace 40 acres of habitat for animals, and thankfully Danielle will be there to care for them. So, this is not a hypothetical for Hoffman Drive residents to be concerned for the question of how many animals are going to come to pass through 18 Hoffman Drive. It has been presented that there is only one solution, and I use quotes because someone else had said this also. Obviously, if you have a heart and soul, quote unquote, there are other solutions. Danielle is a teacher and a current educator, and it is common knowledge that there are rules, and sometimes we don't always like the rules, but we still have to go by them. I really was not planning on speaking separately from my husband and additionally to his comments, but I just find it frustrating that the town has allowed this to become so divisive to this small neighborhood. It is a textbook residential versus agricultural code issue. The code office should have been more involved at the start to tell us, because that was said at the last meeting, that they weren't sure exactly what code we were looking for. Thank you for your time and consideration. The greater good can be achieved, the community served, and the residential neighborhood kept intact.
Thank you.
Yeah, and if we could ask for a repeat of what that was, because at the last meeting, then the code, we were looking at the same code.
That's his determination of the town's code.
He doesn't have reference to any specific code. Well, he doesn't have to for us. He went, he looked, he verified, that's just his copy. That's all that is.
Provide a copy of the conditions you read earlier to the chairman, just so he has that
We have the code,
immediately.
we have the code that he,
The conditions that you read.
Oh, the
That you
conditions?
were proposing, just so the
yeah,
board
if
can have
someone
those.
wants to make a copy, or I mean, I can bring a copy back.
Well, if we could just have it, because I'm sure the board might want to
I kinda wrote
consider
it down.
those when they talk about it, and
Limit 5,
having it handy would be
no
helpful.
RBS, no lunch, insurance, and inspections. I've got it written down. My scribble.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak? Sir?
You can keep it.
Could we just have an explanation from the attorney on what he interprets as the code? Because at the last meeting, the attorney.
Yeah, I said it earlier, the code officers determined that this is an allowed use, an allowed accessory use is animal harboring.
In a residential area?
Correct.
That's incorrect if you look at
Then you need to take that up with the code enforcement officer.
I need to take.
Yes. The, Randy Shear is the current code enforcement officer. He's part-time. He doesn't attend these meetings. You can, if you disagree with the interpretation of the code enforcement officer, you can appeal his interpretation to the zoning board of appeals. You can't appeal it to the planning board.
Can I, this still has to go to the zoning board, that's correct?
Incorrect. So the section of code that we're operating under is under the zoning code. It's 73-12. I understand that there's a chapter in the town code regarding dogs and other animals, but the town has been operating under section 7312 subparagraph 13, C13, 7312 C13.
All uses of a property affected by this article and subsequent to adoption shall be subject to inspection and that by the zoning board. That's pretty plain. This is off, this information
I would
is
encourage
off
you,
the town.
I would encourage you to talk to Randy. If you have, again, an issue about appealing his interpretation of the zoning code, you can file that with the code enforcement office. It would go to the zoning board of appeals. I understand that, sir. I respect your opinion. I'm not here to argue with you about the, no, and I don't mean argue in a pejorative sense, but I'm not here to engage in a back and forth dialogue about the code enforcement officer's interpretation right now.
I mean, I have a letter written by somebody who couldn't be here, and they asked me to read this letter.
He's allowed to read it.
You want to read it?
No, you can read it. Sit down and have a seat and read it.
This is written by a young lady. Her name is Karina, and she wrote this on behalf of Danielle Woods for this board meeting. Someone who lives near her trying to shut her down, I guess, would just like to say first that she doesn't know Danielle, however, had an issue with her cat getting a hold of a bird. She lives in Endwell. Unfortunately, it isn't the first time in she desperately searched for someone closer than Cornell to help. If only she had known about Danielle, it had been referred to her sooner, Danielle would have been able to help her sooner. What she does is very timely, costly, and exhausting. There are not many in our area. She found one other person in the town of Maine who could help, but wasn't available at that time. It is so important, in my opinion, to have resources such as ourselves for people like me who love animals and would do anything we can to help an injured wild animal. I'm asking that you please do not shut her down for the sake of the animals that have no chance without her. I can imagine she has made a huge difference in this area with all that she does to care for these helpless and voiceless animals. And I can't imagine that she is reckless whatsoever in the care she provides. I can't even describe how happy I was to get an immediate response from her. Please consider all the good Danielle does for our area and community. Thank you for your time and listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sir?
I was asked to read a letter from one of the neighbors that can't be here tonight. Her name is Laura Austin. My name is William Johnson, by the way. I live in Shenango Forks. I'm not local, but I am here to support Danny. This letter is from Laura Austin, from Brotsman Road, to the Town of Shenango Board. I am writing to express my full support for my neighbor, Danielle Wood, and her request to operate a bird and small animal short-term rehabilitation center at her residence. Danny is a licensed and trained wildlife rehabilitator with credentials from New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, and she has a long-standing record as a responsible, law-abiding, and compassionate member of our community. Her work provides vital service, caring for injured and orphaned wildlife until they can be safely returned to their natural habitats or long-term facilities. Danny's rehabilitation efforts are carried out professionally under strict regulations and subject to unannounced inspections by the DEC, all of which she consistently passes. Her property is well maintained, and she conducts her work with great care for both animals and her neighbors. Unfortunately, some nearby residents have made unfounded and exaggerated complaints in an apparent effort to block her permit. Claims about excessive noise, odors, or predators are not based on facts or evidence. It is nothing more than an attempt to bully and harass. In my experience, Danny is a considerate and respectful neighbor whose property poses no nuisance or health risk whatsoever. Our community should be proud to support someone dedicating their time and skills for free to helping wildlife. Danny's Rehabilitation Center would not only benefit local ecosystems, but also reflect positively on the town's commitment to environmental stewardship and responsible community service. I respectfully urge the town board to approve Danny's permit for her small animal and bird rescue rehabilitation center. She has earned the trust of the state, and she has my full confidence and support as a neighbor. I was in attendance for the postponed meeting on 9/8/25 and the rescheduled meeting on 9/29/25, but I was unable to attend this meeting, and I have asked that this letter be read aloud in tonight's meeting. Thank you for your consideration. Sincerely, Laura Austin.
Thank you. Anyone else?
My name is Barbara Cipher. I live at 18 Johnson Road, so I'm not in her neighborhood and I do not know her. However, I have had an issue in the spring where I needed to get a hold of a wildlife rehabilitator, and she very quickly answered the phone. I was able to have a conversation with her. She was caring, she was professional, she was very, very helpful. So I don't understand, I guess, what the problem is here, because she doesn't get money for what she does. It's purely an empathetic service that she's offering, and she's highly skilled and trained in this. And I don't understand why a bunny getting out of a cage would be like a big health hazard in the neighborhood. I live in the town of Shenango also in a residential area, and I see all sorts of animals in my yard all the time. We have these animals here. They are roaming around, so what is the problem with her helping one and keeping it caged?
Thank you.
My name is Scott Patrick. I live at 22 Hoffman Drive. I've lived there for 30 years. We've heard people come forward tonight, both for and against this. Now, those of us that do not want to see this in our neighborhood is not for a lack of caring, is for concern for our properties, our pets, our children, our neighbors. We've had people come here from Johnson Road, which is not in our neighborhood. Brotsman Road, not in our neighborhood. We have some gentleman who failed to identify himself or give his address, read a letter from somebody in Endwell. Yes, she cares about animals. Yes, what she is doing is an admirable thing. However, wrong place. Right work, wrong place. I've been a sportsman for over 50 years. I've been hunting, fishing, running the woods since I was in grammar school. And one of the things I do know from all these years of being an outdoorsman is that sick and injured animals attract predators. The sound, the smell. Animals can detect a sick or injured animal. That is why they call the sick and injured animals from the herds when you watch Wild Kingdom or what have you. We don't want that in our neighborhood. We don't want these predators coming in because they're attracted by these scents and these smells. Because many of us have pets that we care deeply about. Many of us have children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews that we care deeply about. We don't want them exposed to this. Now, I'm going to contradict the woman that just spoke before me, that she does this out of the goodness of her heart. Yes, the goodness of her heart does play a factor, but she is not doing this, she's not losing money on this. Well, she might be losing money on this, but she has also established a 501c3 so she can have money coming in to support this. She's already doing this. She's already has money coming in for this, for an endeavor that she is not permitted for. Now, whether or not she's permitted, that's ticky-tack. I'm a retired police lieutenant. That's what we would call a bullshit violation. However, it is indicative of a casual attitude towards the rule of law, towards the rule of polite society, towards the rule of a civilized society, and we are a civilized society, or we should be, where there's give and take. Now, I don't know how you guys are gonna vote. I would definitely hope you would vote against this. If you vote for this, I have no choice but to accept it because that is what a civilized society does. But this is not a moral issue. This is an issue of what is right for that neighborhood, what is wrong for that neighborhood, and the people that live immediately adjacent to her are not for this. And if they're not for it, then is it the right thing to do for that neighborhood? Again, that's your decision to make. Do you have any questions for me? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Patrick.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else? Anyone else who'd like to speak? right, so motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make a motion to close the hearing.
Second?
A vote?
Mr. Carnegie,
Aye.
Ms. Mastronardi,
Nay.
Mr. Zenner,
Aye.
Mr. Eldridge,
Aye.
Mr. Donnelly.
Aye. Does the board have any particular questions or things that maybe we need to discuss
Is there
with the applicant?
additional insurance that she is covering in case something does happen?
Like a liability
Any kind of liability? If something does
Ms.
happen
Woods,
and an animal
would
gets
you like to
out?
come up and, we could probably have a conversation among us and clarify any questions that have come up.
Okay, hi. Insurance, actually I do, I pay out of pocket for private insurance. We're not required to, but I pay it for, one of the other rehabbers that I work with in Ithaca suggested a company that specializes in providing coverage for, we have a lot of money into our shed. The facility that I've rebuilt, I have over $20,000 of my own money into building that and making it secure and fit all of the guidelines and codes and a little bit beyond.
So what types of things does that insurance cover? Just,
The insurance covers liability, personal injury, and, I guess liability, personal injury and structural damage to my property.
Thank
In case it were to,
How much
burden
is, how much liability per incident? If something happens in a,
I
and
don't
someone
have that
gets bit?
information to me, but I can get it from the insurance agent. Also, the animals that I work with and the way it's sanctioned, it's run under the DEC and Officer McCormick from the DEC, so that if you had questions like that, I had given you his cell phone number, and you can call and ask him about things like that.
Is this like a rider policy on your homeowners?
No,
Or
it's
is it
a- It's a
separate?
separate
So like a
insurance.
business liability policy?
No, actually, you're right, it's an umbrella under my
It's an umbrella
homeowners.
under your homeowners,
Yes.
so.
Because I'm volunteer and not an employee,
Right, but, okay, so I don't know if that's more like liability on her, to cover her property, the building damage, not so much liability
You're
as like
third
there's
parties.
personal injury
Right.
is covered as well.
Right. So you are asking
And-
her to provide a copy of her policy
No one is
to review it.
allowed, other people are not allowed to be near wild animals, so it wouldn't be, anyone would be injured on my property by a wild animal. They're not allowed to go on my property in that shed when I have any, even a squirrel or a rabbit.
It's not back and forth.
Thank you.
Are you asking that she provide a copy of the policy to review?
yes. I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
I can do that.
How many animals, I know they're different sizes and like that, do you feel that you can handle
At a time,
safely?
because it's just me, no more than 5.
No more than 5?
No, I would never, and I've never had that many in care at a time. The most I've had is 3, but I could handle 5 if they're orphans. And I don't want to keep any either long-term. I transfer long-term out because there's other rehabbers that are better specialized, wildlife sanctuaries in the different areas. I don't care to have more than 5 for more than 5 days.
5 days being max.
Max, yes.
Okay.
There was a comment about animals getting loose from your facility. Is that something that's happened?
Animals getting loose. There was a rabbit that did get loose. I took him out and I was putting him in the carrier to release him. His home is literally 5 doors down from mine. So when he hopped out of my hands instead of the carrier and went out the window, I'm sure he found his way home at 5 yards down. That's the only animal that's ever gotten loose.
Does the DEC require, a logbook or you to keep records of the
Oh,
animals? They do?
absolutely.
Okay.
There's a lot of paperwork. I keep a log of every animal that not only comes in, but I assist with, transfer to Cornell, they transfer to me. I'm also required, I keep a log of the intakes and what I work with, and I'm also required to keep ongoing notes on each of those animals. So once a year, the paperwork that I have to turn in is very large, and I'm very small. For maybe 20 animals for the year that I've taken in, I've had a stack of papers this high.
What would you do with the sixth animal? If
But
a
the-
s-
I would
if a sixth
transfer it out.
came in?
There's other rehabbers that I work with. A lot of my job is networking. I would just tell the caller no and give them another phone number to call. I don't know exactly off the top of my head, but it was no more than 20 for last year when I filled up. 20 total for the whole year. A groundhog here, a possum there. No. It's volunteer and it's all out of pocket and it's just me. I have other things I like to do as well.
So the big thing, like we already discussed, would be the insurance, I guess. I mean, I do have experience with a 501c3 and part of a snowmobile club. We have to carry liability policy, not just for the property we are on, but because we maintain trails on other people's properties. Even though the state covers all of it, we still have to have a policy that covers us if something happened to someone else on a neighboring property. I would like to verify that hers does that. I mean, if these people are worried, you know.
So I know I think I saw nodding heads in agreement that yes, the board would like to see a copy of the policy of insurance. We'd probably then refer that to the town's insurance agent for just review as to whether it's adequate for the type of operation she's conducting and the typical harms that might be expected as a result of allowing something like this to continue. That would mean, I would recommend not proceeding with your formal review of the permit and placing conditions, and approving or disapproving tonight, but waiting for her to submit that and then getting the insurance agent's opinion as to what that should be, and then potentially making a decision at the next meeting. You could review the environmental significance of the action tonight, because I think the insurance issue isn't necessarily an environmental issue. To the extent that this, one of the questions is, would it create a hazard to environmental resources or human health? Like insurance, it's there to pay money in the event a harm has happened. It doesn't stop the harm from happening, right? So it's just a make whole type of remedy. But anyway, you think you could review the environmental significance tonight if you want to.
Or do we wanna wait? No matter to me either. I say wait. Do we get the insurance part of it? Do it all at once.
That's fine. Do you have any other information requests of the applicant so that she can gather that information and submit it in time prior to the next meeting?
No.
That's all I had.
And then, I'll note there's a special planning board meeting on October 27th, which is about solar. If she was able to get her information to you prior to that meeting, I don't know what your deadline might be, Thursday, Wednesday before that meeting, would you consider adding this to that special meeting, or would you just have her on the November agenda?
Yeah, get it. Get it done.
Do you have any animals there currently?
Excuse me?
Do you have any animals there currently?
I have a crow with a weak wing.
Yeah, because I think it's, you know, it's a if-then type of thing. You know, if she provides the insurance information by, well, and we hear back from the town's insurance agent by October 23rd, that's the Thursday prior to that special meeting on the 27th, then, you know, have it on the agenda. If we don't hear back from, you know, her and then the town's insurance agent, then we'll let her know. We'll add to the agenda that, you know, it's been pushed to the November meeting.
November 10th.
Right.
I'll make that motion. What you said.
I'll second.
Okay, Diane, we have a motion and a second.
Mr. Carnegie?
Aye.
Ms. Mastronardi?
Aye.
Mr. Zenner?
Aye.
Mr. Eldridge?
Aye.
Mr. Donnelly?
Aye.
All set?
So we're all set. If you can
Okay.
get us that
Thank you.
insurance and like what he was talking about, then we can look at that and then address it on the
Okay.
27th? 27th, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone have anything else to go before the board?
Do we need to make a motion to the town board about getting paid for our second meetings, or do we, how are we gonna do that?
So that would be a budget modification request. So, you know, for the town board to allocate monies to the item, you know, your budget line item for meeting attendance. I don't think you guys need to do that. I mean, that's just something that Diane, as the interim department head, can, on her own initiative, you know, ask the board to do that for you. So you guys, I mean, if you want to vote, you can.
I could do, I was gonna go to the meeting tomorrow, so I can do, I'll mention it to them tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, it's been brought up before. And then I know the other item, Mr. Chairman, is Renee had sent an email out to the board about, hey, do we really want to do 2 meetings a month? If there's a way to have, you know, 1 meeting, you know, a month, so long as these solar projects are still pending, to have your meeting take place at the high school auditorium going forward. The school's auditorium, we know, is available the 4th Monday of every month. That, of course, is 2 weeks after your normal meeting date. That would become your normal meeting date. I'm not sure if that's what you folks want to do, but if that's what you want to do, then, you know, basically a motion to change your meeting date from the 2nd Monday to the 4th Monday would be necessary.
I would have concerns about that because the facility over there was not conducive to having a meeting like
Right.
this and being able to have a conversation and understand what everybody is saying, and as far as the other people in the audience that are talking, or even talking between ourselves, was very difficult.
And you can't see anybody in the audience.
Right, unless the audio was fixed and the lighting was fixed and the way we interact was fixed.
So I think maybe that's something we can review after our next meeting there. And if some of those things get fixed so that we can have a reasonable meeting, then
Certainly on October 27th, because we're going to have that meeting. If at that meeting you folks want to go to the 1 meeting a month on the 4th Monday of every month at the high school auditorium, you can make that decision at that time as well.
Okay.
I mean, I understand, you know, the concerns about the audio, but given the turnout for the solar projects, we're going to have to keep using the district auditorium, so like the audio is going to have to get fixed somehow.
They're going to wired mics for the next meeting. I talked to Kevin, and I looked at the elementary school, their auditorium, lighting wise is fantastic, but we can't get the wires where they're supposed to be for mics and speaking and everything else, so our choice is the high school auditorium, the district secretary to the superintendent or something, she emailed me back, and it was, we're going to have it in the high school auditorium. And the lighting, that's the house lights, they don't go up anymore.
As long as the audio's fixed, I mean, it's nice to see the audience, but like,
I'm wearing a hat, that's all.
How about Shenango Valley, is that an option? Shenango Valley High School?
We need to have the meetings within the town, so that's outside of the town.
Who knew?
The town board's scheduled for that night also, right? They just haven't put it on the calendar yet?
The town board is meeting at 5 PM to hold a public hearing on a moratorium on special use permits, use variances, and area variances. So.
That was on the 20th, that's on.
No, it's October 27th, that same
that's the
meeting. They're
27th.
anticipating a turnout for that. No, at the high school auditorium.
At 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
And then
It'll
we're
be
gonna
open until or it will be closed no earlier than 6:30. So even if nobody showed up at 5, they're gonna stick around sitting there just to give people the and it'll go so long as, if the people are still there looking to talk, it'll go until people are done, or if nobody's there at 6:30, then they'll close it at 6:30.
And then we'll follow them at 7.
And then you guys will follow them at 7. So depending on the turnout, your meeting might get pushed slightly, but it is what it is, that's okay.
Get overtime after 8.
You might have a very short meeting depending on the board's action that evening.
As long as we get paid.
Motion to adjourn?
Is there any opportunity to ask questions ever? Because I've come to the town of Shenango, I ask questions, I've put in FOIL, requests, how do you get questions from anybody here, anybody in this building? We just have some general questions that we would like to ask. Is anybody open to that, or don't we answer questions?
I'm happy to chat with you after the meeting.
Well, maybe, okay, I mean, I would like to speak to anybody.
Carnegie, I would like to speak with you as well.
But we could, we just have just some general questions. Can I ask one, just right now, just in general, if anybody knows the answer? I'd like to know, in order to get a special permit, approved, how can you be acting on the special permit? How can you be acting for what you want to do, wildlife rehabilitation, if there's not been an approval?
So whenever anyone is acting in violation of the town code, the code enforcement officer sends a notice of violation and an order to remedy. The order to remedy says either stop work or correct the violation, which is by applying for the permit. Through the permit application process, the person is attempting to remedy the violation, and so the code enforcement office does not take them to court while they remedy it. If the board denies the permit, then they will have to cease, and at that point, if she continues or anyone continues, then we go to court. The reason, now you might say, why is that? We cannot stop someone from physically doing anything without a court order. The court process itself can take 3 to 6 months. And so the general idea is we'll let you continue until the board itself makes a decision whether this is allowed or not to go forward. Once the board makes a decision, then the code enforcement office takes that going forward.
So in other words, continue the illegal activity because it's gonna take too long.
No, but the person that had 4 dogs had 4 dogs.
That's what I was gonna say.
That was illegal.
Right.
The point is, they went to get a license, they said, you can't have 4 dogs, they have to remedy it. They just don't move away while they have 4 dogs, or they don't have to give them away until they get the license for 4 dogs.
And I can appreciate that. Here's my, but in light of that, knowing that you're acting illegally on something, on a, special permit that has not been approved, then knowingly going ahead and not getting the approval.
That's what she's doing, they're trying to.
She's attempting to remedy it.
Wait, she's acting on an approval that isn't even legitimate because she has more than 4 accessory, units on her property and they aren't permitted. So we're waiting for that and gonna give her the special approval without special permits being, passed?
Yeah, so ma'am, this is there's a lot of policy issues behind underlying your question, which this is not really the right forum for it. And it's also a code enforcement, it's a code enforcement issue.
Anything to do with the program. They're
Right.
talking about.
She
Ma'am, if,
If she doesn't comply,
ma'am, if you have concerns about how the town is enforcing its laws, you should go to the town board meetings and during the public comment session there, speak out and I'll say, bring these comments and critiques to the town board. They themselves might not respond to you. You know, they often listen, but if they feel that there's something that needs to be followed up on, then they will direct town personnel to follow up on it. I would say that, I'm not sure, like, again, I mentioned I would be happy to talk with you.
thank you.
Well, actually, I have a question. You're the legal counsel, correct, sir?
Yes, sir, I'll be happy to talk with you after the meeting is over.
This question, I think, these people should hear as well. Something you said earlier to, Mr. Van Tassel about the code enforcement officer is
Sir, I'm gonna say there was a motion to adjourn the hearing. I'm happy to have a conversation with you afterwards.
Second.
Vote, have a vote. We did. Amy I motioned it, Jamie seconded it.
Everybody ayed.
Aye.
Aye.